This game is horrible. I Love Softball looks okay. The graphics aren't bad. There are elements that remind me of Dusty Diamond's All-Star Softball. But when you start seriously playing this game, you'll realize just how bad it is. Well, the thing is that I can't win a single game. I've played this game probably about a dozen times, I've spent hours on it, but no matter what I do, I lose every single time. Before we talk about the gameplay, which is awful, we really need to talk first about the box art. This is what the I Love Softball box art looks like, and this is what the manual looks like. From the cartridge, it's pretty obvious what kind of vibe they were going for. But seriously, this seems to me to be a little bit too obvious. I mean, don't you think? And I'm not quite sure what the target demographic was for this game. I guess it could have been dirty old men or teenage boys, but if that's the case, why make the cartridge hot pink? It could be girls who were interested in softball, but then why the focus on the animated character's butt? And in the end, the artwork is a pretty good symbol of the problems with the game. This game is basically a softball version of Koshien. You choose a team in any province, you then play through the provincial tournament. If you go undefeated, you can then go to the national tournament. The setup is just like Koshien on the NES, which is an absolutely fantastic game. The manual explains that there are 6 teams in each of 10 different provinces. The 10 winning teams go on to the national tournament. And if you win that, your team will represent Japan in an international softball tournament, something that sounds really cool to me. But like I said, I can't even win the first game. No matter how hard I try, I lose every single time, and seriously, this is driving me nuts. But let's start with the good things. The graphics look good for a 1989 game, obviously. Pitching is fun. You can throw these ridiculously high pitches that are sometimes called strikes. You can also throw curveballs, though it's not quite as easy as in the baseball games. I've found that pitchers can go pretty far before they start to lose their stuff. Hitting is also pretty easy. And that's actually where the problems begin. Sure, it's easy to hit the ball, but it's really hard to not hit it at somebody. Alright, when you choose a team, all you can see are the batting averages and the home run totals. But it seems to be absolutely meaningless. I mean, no matter what I do, I wind up hitting the ball straight to the computer's fielders. Notice that there's nothing anywhere here about speed, defense, the player's mood, or anything like that. Now, when you get into the game, you will notice here at the bottom that there are picture descriptions of your player's mood. I'm guessing this is kind of like a version of the biorhythm system in Bases Loaded 2. Except, of course, that it seems to be totally meaningless. In fact, everything in this game seems to be totally meaningless. I was able to find a team that listed every single player as having the exact same statistics, but when they came up to bat, the stats that were displayed were different. The team we played against was really strange. Everybody's name started with E. Well, my guess is that strange things will happen when you try to put 60 playable teams on a Famicom cartridge in 1989, and that's not counting whatever international bonus teams there are. The programmers got a little bit carried away with themselves. The other problem is that every team has the same uniform. When you play one player, your team will always wear pink. The computer will always wear light blue. It's not that it looks bad, it's just really boring. I mean, even Famista has different color schemes for different teams. But unfortunately, the worst part of this game is the gameplay, not the fashion design. Defense in this game is impossible, and I mean that literally. Any ball hit to the outfield is going to be a nightmare. This is because the camera angle doesn't move in time for you to see your outfielder. This is a similar problem to what you see in Bases Loaded 2, as you probably remember. And to be blunt, this is the sort of thing that should have been caught in beta testing. These fly balls should be easy outs, and they're making me lose my mind. And you know, that's the most frustrating thing of all. The computer will always catch the fly balls that I hit. However, if the computer hits a fly ball, I don't stand any chance of catching it. It's just unfair, and it's all because I can't see my fielders. This takes an otherwise average game and makes it almost unplayable. Ground balls are just as bad. Some of these girls couldn't throw to first if their life depended on it. In fact, I discovered that it's easier to run the ball to first than to throw it. I mean, it's ridiculous. Now, if you thought that the arms in RBI baseball were bad, just give this game a try. Some of these fielders are just totally ridiculous. Of course, I'm not the only one who noticed these problems. Famitsu gave this game generally unfavorable ratings. However, the common complaints had more to do with the lack of character attractiveness than the way that the game was actually played. So I guess you can't have a game with girls without having a healthy dose of sexism. Anyway, right before I made this video, I thought that I was finally going to win one. I came up with a strategy that almost worked. It's simple, just don't swing the bat. You want to force the computer into walking you. If you hit the ball, you'll probably hit a fly ball for an out. So make the computer pitch to you. Once the first pitcher is tired, the computer will have a hard time throwing strikes. If you take a lot of pitches, you'll force the pitcher into tiring early. And there are only 4 relief pitchers per team, which means you can work through them pretty quickly. But of course, I started to give up base hits with my 1-run lead late in this game. And these were the worst kind of base hits. These are hits that would have been outs if I could see my outfielders. This should have been the game-winning double play, but the relay to first was just too slow. We actually went up by a run in extra innings. But of course, the computer won by getting line drive base hits over our fielders. The final run scored on this ground ball, and there was just no way I was beating that runner home. And so I had lost once again. Anyway, this is a bad game, and honestly it frustrates me even to talk about it, but it's also a really surprisingly expensive game. A loose copy of this game ordered from Japan will cost you at least $100, and this complete version in box costs over $300, not including the customs fees. Now, I'm certain that the artwork has at least something to do with the price, sure, and PriceCharting.com tells me that those eBay prices might be somewhat exaggerated. But still, $27 for a loose Famicom cartridge is pretty expensive. Well, I guess it's not going to make any lists of like the rarest Famicom games, but it still is a pretty expensive game for a game that was never released anywhere else, and it's absolutely not worth the money. I mean, the idea is good, but the execution is bad. If you want a good softball game, go play Dusty Diamond. If you want to play as girls, go play Bad News Baseball. Or, better yet, play a mixed-gender team with baseball stars. Save yourself the trouble of dealing with fly balls that are impossible to catch. Anyway, it's not the worst baseball game, sure. I don't know if it's the worst softball game or not because I don't know how many games like this there are out there. But this game is still pretty bad. And it's a shame. You know, I really think that a girl's version of Koshian would have done really well if they had made the game right. This is why you should always test your product before you ship it.